Well, if you're a gun owner in Clark, Jefferson, or Scott County, and you want to know who is the pro-gun champion in your upcoming House primary, got good news for you guys. We're breaking that race down for you right now. Hey guys, Aaron Dorr here with the Indiana Firearms Coalition. Everyone knows the May 7 primary is almost here, and a lot of you have been asking us here in the office, in House District 66, who is the pro-gun champion? It's this area here in extreme southeast Indiana. Again, portions of Jefferson, Scott, and Clark County. And the question you're asking us is not who's pro-gun, because let's just be honest. In a primary, in a red state, on the Republican ticket, everyone says they're pro-gun. And so that is the case in this race. Both candidates claim to be pro-gun. The question you have been asking us over the last 10 days or so here is, who will fight to expand our gun rights? Who's the pro-gun champion? Because let's just be honest, this day and age, it is no longer enough to have somebody say they're pro-gun. In fact, it's not enough anymore to just vote pro-gun in Indy. We need fighters who will go to the legislature and fight to expand our gun rights. For that matter, people who will fight to undo the damage that has already been done to our gun rights in pro-gun Indiana. So that is the context in which we're going to approach this video. Not who claims to be pro-gun, but who do we think, based on the candidate survey program, based on any votes that these guys have cast in office, who do we think will lead the fight to expand gun rights here in Indianapolis? So we're going to begin with Representative Zach Payne. Zach just finished his 4th year in the Indiana House, and in his first 4 years in the legislature, Zach has become a true leader in the fight for gun rights. I'm going to begin with his bill from just this year, HB 1409. Everyone knows, and it's an embarrassment, frankly, that we have red flag gun seizures on the books here in Indianapolis. And we've had them for a long time, since I think 2005. They were expanded again in 2019. And so now what we've had for the last couple of years is other Republican governors around us are now pointing to Indiana, and they're saying, well, if Indiana can have red flags, we can have them here as well, for example, in Ohio. And so what Zach has done is said, you know what, it's not enough to stop any further expansion of red flag laws. We need to repeal red flags altogether. And that's the bill he filed this session, House Bill 1409, which would completely repeal red flag gun seizures. The idea that we have these in red Indiana is insane, because it allows somebody who does not like you to go before a judge and say, you might be dangerous. And if the judge agrees you might be dangerous, and they pretty much always agree, your guns can be and are being confiscated before you've ever been convicted of a crime of any kind. It is insane. As other red states are banning red flag laws, here in Indy, we keep expanding them. Zach Payne had the guts to file the bill to get rid of red flags altogether here in the state with HB 1409. That is the kind of leadership we are looking for in the gun rights space. He also was a leading co-sponsor on House Bill 1117. This was one of the Indiana Firearms Coalition's bills last session, which would enact the Second Amendment Preservation Act here in Indiana. We kind of call it SAPA law for short. What SAPA would do is tell Joe Biden that you might pass federal gun control in Congress, you might dictate it by executive fiat, but if you want it enforced here in Indiana, you better send your own guys, because you no longer have the free use of Indiana's troopers, deputies, and city cops, because SAPA law would instruct Hoosier cops to only enforce Indiana law when it comes to firearms, ammunition, and accessories. Leadership in Indianapolis hated SAPA law being filed, and they pushed hard to keep people from even co-sponsoring SAPA last session, and Zach Payne was a proud co-sponsor. Frankly, he would have sponsored it, but one of his good friends, Larissa Sweet, had already gotten the bill from us, and she got it filed, and so it was good to go. But these are two major bills that Zach Payne in the House has either sponsored or co-sponsored to defend our gun rights here in Indy. He has also promised on his candidate survey to lead the fight to sponsor legislation to repeal deadly gun-free zones. Everyone knows how stupid the idea of a so-called gun-free zone is, because Nobody obeys them except for the good guys who want to avoid a criminal charge. The criminals, madmen, murderers, they always go to these gun-free zones all across the country and here in our state, and they kill innocent people because they know we can't fight back. We must repeal the remaining gun-free zones that we have here in the state. We asked Zach Payne, would you sponsor that bill? And he's agreed to sponsor that legislation if reelected to the Indiana House. He's also opposed to the entire gun rights agenda. Frankly, it's all the bills we dealt with this session, AR-15 bans, universal background checks, which is just a gun registry. And he's certainly opposed to any attempt to get rid of Indiana's preemption law, because if we lose our preemption law, that would allow every city and every county to enact their own local gun control. And so you might be totally fine living in this district with an AR-15, but if you drive through Marion County, you could be committing a crime because the county has the ability to enact their own gun control. It would lead to a patchwork quilt. It'd be a nightmare for gun owners traveling across the state, not knowing, am I in a county where I can have an AR or not? Can I have a 30-round magazine or not? It's insanity. And Zach Payne has said he will oppose any effort to get rid of that. So any way you look at it, Zach Payne has been a fighter for gun rights for the last 4 years in the Indiana House, and we're very proud and pleased to acknowledge that in this race analysis. And that brings up Jim Baker. Now, I'm not going to use tricks to try to make him seem terrible. I want to be clear on this. Jim Baker surveyed with our organization. He had 100% pro-gun response on his survey. But here's the problem. He said he will not sponsor any legislation for gun rights. He would not sponsor SEPA. He would not sponsor red flag gun seizure repeal. He would not sponsor bills to get rid of deadly gun-free zones. He simply will not sponsor anything. And what that means is if he is there and we have a pro-gun bill in committee or a pro-gun bill on the floor or a pro-gun bill that needs help, leadership can lean on people like Jim Baker and say, hey, we don't want you on this bill. And people like this, who will not lead the fight for gun rights, who will only vote for a bill when it's been approved by, blessed by leadership, will simply say, okay, I'm off the bill. And that's the problem. That's how we've gotten ourselves in a situation where Indiana has not just passed red flag laws once, we've passed it twice. That's why it took us so many years to pass constitutional carry. It's because we so often have very timid men and women in office who will only vote for a gun bill when leadership says it's okay, you may now vote for a gun bill. And so what we have been told from our constituents, our members in this district, District 66, is that Jim Baker is being propped up because powerful interests don't like the idea of Zach Payne sponsoring and leading the fight for gun rights by sponsoring pro-gun bills in the state. That's what we're being told. So guys, the takeaway here is pretty simple. Zach Payne will fight, more importantly, has fought and will continue to fight to lead the charge for gun rights, to expand our gun rights, to roll back red flag gun seizures, to sponsor SEPA, and Jim Baker will not. That's the takeaway from this video. So if you were a gun voter in this district and you see Zach Payne, be sure and thank him for proudly standing up and fighting for your gun rights. And if you see Jim Baker, you can certainly thank him for opposing gun control and for promising to vote pro-gun, but ask him, why won't you sponsor gun bills? Why won't you lead in the fight for gun rights? It's 2024. Our rights are under attack now more than ever before. We need you to stand up and promise to sponsor pro-gun bills. Ask him why he won't do that. Guys, as always, share this video far and wide with every gun voter you know. And do me a favor, check out our YouTube channel and Facebook page for other race breakdowns just like this. Thank you very much.